What's up, fantasy managers? Welcome back to another episode of the First Pitch Podcast brought to you by PitcherList.com. My name is Jake Crumpler, and I'll be your host for this edition of the podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Crumpler, and you can find all of my work at CrumplerBaseball.com. Let's dive into everything baseball related from Monday, April 7th. We'll start things off, as always, with the transactions, injuries, news, and notes from around the league, starting off with the bad news, as outfielder Victor Robles was placed on the 10-day IL with a dislocated left shoulder. I mentioned that a little bit yesterday, so anybody that was listening should have been prepared for Robles heading to the IL today. He is going to undergo an MRI to determine the severity of the injury, and that will really determine whether or not he needs surgery, and that will determine the timeline of Robles' return. Dominic Canzone was recalled from the minors within a corresponding move, but Luke Raley will see the majority of playing time in the outfield. He'll see the biggest boost in his playing time and his at-bats for the Mariners, but that's Victor Robles heading to the IL with a dislocated shoulder. Next, we have infielder Jared Triolo, who hit the 10-day IL with a lumbar spine strain. He was day-to-day for a little bit, but now he will head to the IL. He'd been the Pirates' utility infielder, so he was somewhat viable in fantasy, but no longer, as he is on the injured list. Sung Cha-Ching was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move. He's the number 17 Pirates prospect, so there's a little bit of interest there. He'll fill the same role that Triolo filled, so Ching will play some infield across the board for the Pirates. Probably not relevant in fantasy, despite a little bit of prospect pedigree here for Ching. But with Triolo likely back in a few weeks, I wouldn't expect him to be able to establish himself, especially in a part-time role, be able to establish himself in the major leagues here. Next, we have Spencer Arrighetti, starting pitcher for the Astros, who will land on the 15-day IL with a fractured right thumb. He had a freak accident after being struck by a ball in the outfield during BP. That sucks. When I first heard it, I thought he was taking BP, and I was like, why is Arrighetti batting? And I was like, why is he fielding balls in the outfield? But what it sounds like is he was playing catch in the outfield while BP was going on, and he just got hit in the hand by a fly ball or something. That doesn't really make sense. I don't know why they would just have people out there not paying attention with fly balls going around, but this is the price you pay. Arrighetti to the IL with a fractured thumb. We'll see if he needs surgery, and his timeline is dependent on whether or not he does need surgery. But the Astros are really hurting right now. They are going to have to improvise with a lot of injured starters right now. I think they have one starter in the minor leagues on the 40-man roster, so they don't have a lot of options right now. They got a few guys on the IL as well, so it's probably going to be some bullpen games for a while for the Astros. Our last IL placement involves catcher Connor Wong, who landed on the 10-day IL with a fractured left finger. He was hit by a bat while catching, and unfortunately, he was still called with catcher interference. That's got to be insult to injury there for Connor Wong. But it looks like Blake Sable is likely to be recalled from the minors. It hasn't been official yet, but he is the most likely candidate. Carlos Narvaez should be the everyday backstop for the Red Sox. Moving forward, though, with Wong on the IL with a fractured finger. In terms of transactions, starting pitcher Quinn Priester was traded by the Red Sox to the Brewers. The Red Sox will receive Yofery Rodriguez. The Brewers also traded Grant Wolfram to the Orioles for Daz Cameron, so they were busy on Monday, but the addition of Priester is very integral to this team right now. They are hurting for starting pitching. I have mentioned it multiple times already, but they've got like 7 starting pitchers on the IL right now, so the Brewers are really hurting for somebody to eat some innings, and Priester is somewhat intriguing as a former top prospect for the Pirates. Went over to the Red Sox, where I thought he might take off with their breaking ball focused pitching development, but that hasn't been the case. He hasn't really gotten the opportunity. He will, though, get the opportunity to pitch in Milwaukee, and let's see if Priester can take off there. The other transaction we'll discuss involves starting pitcher Joey Estes, who was optioned to the minors by the A's. Not really surprising, as he gave up 12 runs through his first 2 starts, so not great there from Estes. He's still only 23, though he was a big part of the return in one of the Braves deals. There's no way I'm going to be able to try to piece apart which one that was, but Estes has not been able to establish himself in the big leagues. That should give Mitch Spence some runway to take over that spot in the rotation. Jason Alexander was recalled had his contract selected from the minors in a corresponding move, but he's a reliever. He is not the guy from Seinfeld. He's actually a relief pitcher that last appeared in the majors in 2022 for the Brewers. He should pitch out of the bullpen again for the A's, despite having pitched multiple innings as a starter or multiple outings as a starter throughout his career. I still think Spence is likely to shift from the bullpen to the rotation for the A's. In terms of news, starting pitcher Justin Robleski will be recalled from the minors and will start Tuesday for the Dodgers. And then on Wednesday, Landon Knack is expected to be recalled to start. Both of these guys are replacing Blake Snell. I think they're going to run a 6-man rotation for a little bit, but with Snell out, they were looking for at least one replacement. Robleski and Knack will get a chance to establish themselves in the majors for the Dodgers. Starting pitcher Edward Cabrera could return this weekend for the Marlins. He finished his rehab stint and is with the team in New York right now, so that's pretty cool. Cabrera, though, is somebody who has constantly struggled with his command, so we'll see if he's a changed man when he comes back from the injury. I doubt that. And lastly, third baseman Royce Lewis is apparently 3 weeks away from beginning a rehab assignment. So we're still probably a month plus away from seeing Royce Lewis back on the field in the major leagues. But, that's what you get when you draft an injury prone player. So unfortunate news here for Royce Lewis. Choked on my water. That was cool. Now we can check out the notable performances from Monday, a day in which we had 11 games on the slate. We'll open things with our hitters, leading off with Tyler Soderstrom, who did all he could, but the A's lost to the Padres. He went 2 for 3 with 2 runs, a pair of home runs, 2 runs batted in, and a walk. Soderstrom's up to 6 home runs on the year now. The first one traveled 385 feet at 112 miles per hour, and the second one went 389 feet at 101 miles per hour. Soderstrom is now tied for the major league lead with Aaron Judge in home runs at 6. And this is, I think, what we expected from Soderstrom when we thought of a breakout. I mean, the guy had prodigious power throughout his career in the minor leagues and in college. So this is something that we could expect from him. Honestly, I'm going to take back the college thing. I'm not 100% sure he even went to college. So, when he was an amateur, he had some power, and he has some power in the minor league. So I think we expected him to be a guy that could contend for the major league lead in home runs. He's doing that here. And I think that means Soderstrom needs to be rostered everywhere. I'd be surprised if there's a league deeper than 10 teams that doesn't have Soderstrom rostered. If so, he needs to be picked up immediately. And if you do have him, I honestly think it's somewhat possible you could sell high right now. I think this is a guy that's going to fall off pretty dramatically shortly. The power is going to stay. I think he's a guy that can hit 30 plus homers, but this is a guy consistently. Soderstrom's struck out 25% plus throughout his career. I don't think he's going to bat over 300. He's probably going to bat closer to 250, which means May and June, or at least throughout the summer, is going to be pretty rough for Soderstrom. So maybe you can sell high now while people are still rosy about his rest of season outlook. Next, we'll talk about catcher Joey Bart, who helped the Pirates to win versus the Cardinals, going 2 for 4 with 2 runs, a home run, a triple, and 2 runs batted in. It was his first home run of the year, and it traveled 411 feet at 106 miles per hour. Joey Bart is pretty interesting. Obviously, former number 2 overall pick of the Giants, now playing for the Pirates. He's batting 3rd or 4th, and he's catching most days, even with Endy Rodriguez there. I don't think Bart is quite 12-team relevant. Definitely fringy there. If you're playing 2 catcher 12-teamers, he's probably somebody worth rostering. I don't think we're going to see a full breakout this year from Bart. It doesn't look like the strikeout issues are receding at all, but Bart definitely needs to be rostered in all 15-team 2-catcher leagues. So in your NFBC leagues, if Joey Bart isn't rostered, definitely needs to be picked up because he's batting 3rd or 4th for the Pirates every single day, or just about. And lastly, we have outfielder Kyle Isbell, who helped the Royals to win versus the Twins, going 3 for 4 with a run, a home run, and 2 runs batted in. It was his first home run of the year, and it traveled 401 feet at 105 miles per hour. Isbell is on a strong side of a platoon, batting 9th for the Royals. Last year, 8 homers, 11 steals, batted 229. I don't think he's going to be somebody super fantasy relevant this year either. He's really a better real life player because of his defense in center field, makes him worth rostering for the Royals, but not really worth your attention in fantasy. That's Kyle Isbell. But if you'd like a breakdown of other notable hitting performances from Monday, check out the daily Batters Box article over on pitcherlist.com. Now we'll head to the mound and check out some notable starting pitching performances, opening with Richard Fitts, who did all he could, but the Red Sox lost to the Blue Jays. He tossed 6 innings, allowing 6 hits and 3 earned runs. He walked 4 while striking out 4, inducing 12 whiffs with 25% CSW across 102 pitches. Fitts' heater was down to 94, and this is a guy who was sitting like 97, 98 in the spring. That really got us pumped. But even with the velo down across the board on all of his pitches, he still got the job done a little bit. I'd say he got a quality start here. So that's really all you can ask for from the Red Sox. The fastball still got the job done too. Even with the velocity down, he was at 17 inches of IVB. The pitch got 5 whiffs and 28% CSW, while his slider went for 5 whiffs and 24% CSW. He also threw a slew of other pitches, but his command was all over the place. You look at that. You look at the strike zone plot, and it was all over the place. And I don't think Fitts is something that we need to chase right now. He's really not polished enough, and he doesn't have the standout offerings to make him worth rostering. But he does get the White Sox next in Chicago. That's been a common theme for me across my past few recordings, is that I say, this guy's not worth rostering, and then he gets a terrible team next time out. So maybe stream Fitts there and then drop him after that. Next, we have Hayden Wesneski, who did all he could, but the Astros lost in Seattle. Wesneski went 7 innings, allowing 3 hits and 2 earned runs. He walked nobody while striking out 5, inducing 14 whiffs with 29% CSW across 82 pitches, and he cooked with his deep arsenal. He had 5 pitches, induced multiple whiffs, and his cutter led the way with 3 whiffs and 40% CSW. And honestly, I think I'd be picking up Wesneski in most of the leagues right now. His deep arsenal lends success against both lefties and righties. He's got that 4-seamer to induce whiffs against lefties and righties, as well as a really dope sweeper to get righties to swing and miss, and then the cutter here to get strikes and even some whiffs against the left-handed hitters. And he's got a good offense behind him as well, so he's got a good win chance. I think Wesneski needs to be rostered in the majority of leagues. He gets the Angels next, and that's a start I'll be streaming. And lastly, we've got Casey Mize, who took on the Yankees and won, tossing 6 innings, allowing 4 hits and 1 run. He walked 3 while striking out 6, inducing 10 whiffs with 34% CSW across 88 pitches. And I was pretty worried about this start, despite his success on, or at least in his opening start. He turned to a slurve in this one over a slider, which was somewhat weird. It stole a lot of strikes, but it was all over the place. His 4-seamer and splitter were there to induce whiffs, combining for 9 of those and 30% CSW. But with the slurves all over the place, he didn't really have the control to have a dominant outing. That's why you have the 3 walks here, but still he got away with it because he had nice north-south separation between that hitter and the splitter, the heater and the splitter. Whoa, for the BSB there. And I feel like after having this much success over his first 2 starts, Mize is probably worth picking up just to see if this sticks. I don't really like that he's switching up his arsenal from start to start, but maybe that's just his way of adjusting. The slurve wasn't that standout here in terms of being the whiff-inducing pitch it needs to be. It was just a pitch that he tried to throw for strikes and couldn't get it over. But maybe he can have success in Minnesota next. That's Casey Mize. But if you'd like a breakdown of every single start from Monday, give the Plus Pitch podcast a listen and check out Nick's daily SP roundup over on PitcherList.com. Now we'll head to the bullpen and check out the relievers that got saves and the closers that pitched outside of save situations or blew their saves. Starting with the former, Tony Santillan got his first save as he recorded the final out of the game for the Reds. Ryan Stanek got his first save as he pitched a perfect ninth for the Mets. Edwin Diaz had gone back-to-back days, so it made sense that Stanek was filling in. Robert Suarez recorded his MLB leading 5th save with a perfect ninth. Thomas Harrington recorded his first career save as he tossed 4 innings, allowing 4 hits and 3 earned runs with 1 walk while striking out 5. The top prospect made his major league debut last week and wasn't great and is now pitching out of the bullpen, but hey, a save. That's pretty cool for fantasy purposes. Kyle Finnegan recorded his 4th save, recording the final 5 outs of the ball game against the Dodgers. Carlos Estevez recorded his 3rd save, working around a run in the 9th to successfully record that. And lastly, Andres Munoz recorded his 4th save with a perfect 9th. And in terms of closers to pitch outside of save situations or blow their saves, Felix Bautista pitched a perfect 9th up by 4. He hadn't pitched in a week, so he was going to pitch in this one no matter what. And Jeff Hoffman pitched a perfect 9th up by 4 as well. The Blue Jays put on an insurance run in the top half of the 9th, and they sent him out anyway. But if you like other if you'd like more in-depth breakdown of relievers from the week, check out Rick Graham's weekly articles over on pitcherlist.com. And before we look forward to today's games, we're going to take a quick break. Now we'll look forward to Tuesday, April 8th, a day in which we'll have a full slate of 15 games. My matchup of the day is Zach Wheeler versus Chris Sale. You got the former NL Cy Young Award winner, or at least the reigning NL Cy Young Award winner, taking on who I believe to be the best pitcher in baseball. Should be a blast, to an inter-division matchup as well. In terms of probable starters, we got 13 guys in our auto starts tier, so it's a day of aces, including Wheeler and Sale. We've also got Garrett Crochet versus the Blue Jays, Paul Skeens versus the Cardinals, and Cole Reagans versus the Twins. In our probably starts tier, we've got 4 guys, and that's where we'll find our streamer of the day in Landon Rupp, who's taking on the Reds. I just picked him up in my home league. I'm actually just going to check right now to see if I even got him. Now I'm realizing that's going to take too long on a live podcast, but fingers crossed I got him. That's Landon Rupp taking on the Reds. I did get him. So we are all in this together. Landon Rupp taking on the Reds. Let's hope he has success there. His first start, he showed some pretty good stuff. Struggled at the end of the start. I think he should have been pulled earlier. So the line suggests that he was worse than he actually was. So he should have success against a struggling Reds offense. I'd also keep an eye out for both Ben Lively and Shane Smith. They're taking each other on. So really choose your fighter here. Ben Lively, higher floor here as he's the Toby, but lower ceiling, while Shane Smith got a high ceiling. Some incredible stuff there, but he's pitching for the White Sox. The floor is pretty low. In terms of hitter suggestions, I go for Brewers and Rockies hitters and cores. That one's pretty obvious. Freddie Peralta and Kyle Freeland are the starters in that one. I'd also go for Tigers hitters versus Carlos Carrasco. There's just something about a late 30s Carlos Carrasco pitching right now that has me wanting to target him in fantasy. I'd also go for Rays hitters versus Kyle Hendricks, and this is the same vibe here, just some old guy who I don't expect to have success every single night. So you can go and target him here, hoping for a blow up if you are picking up the hitters. And now we'll close things out with our relievers to watch. Tommy Kahnle has pitched back-to-back for the Tigers, so Tyler Holton or Bo Brieski could get a save today. Carlos Estevez has pitched back-to-back for the Royals, but so has Lucas Erceg and so has Hunter Harvey. So maybe Angel Zerpa or John Schreiber get a save today. Kyle Finnegan has pitched on 3 in a row, so Jose Ferrer or Jorge Lopez could get a save today. Tony Santillan has pitched 3 of the last 4, so maybe Emilio Pagan gets a save chance today. And lastly, Robert Suarez has pitched back-to-back, but so have both Jason Adam and Jeremiah Estrada and Adrian Morejon. So maybe we see Yuki Matsui or Alec Jacob get a save for the Padres today. But that'll do it for today's episode of the First Pitch Podcast. Make sure to head on over to pitcherlist.com to check out all of the great articles and features we have on the site. Sign up for PL Plus or PL Pro to gain access to the Discord and to support the Pitcher List staff. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Crumpler. Tune in live on YouTube tomorrow and every day for a new installment of the podcast. And make sure to enjoy the day as we are blessed with another day of baseball.